Yo, so guys, here back to the video, and today I'll be talking about Halo 6's mechanics, or the next Halo FPS's mechanics. And I had a poll on Twitter. Thank you for everyone who voted. It's still going on actually, but I think it's pretty clear what people really want to see from the next Halo game. And also, I really want to say, please be civil in the comments, guys. Like, I know people have passion for this game and stuff like that. I'm not gonna say it's just a game. Don't be passionate about it, but like, don't disrespect other people. Don't act childish towards others. Like, don't call people names over their opinion. I think we all learned that in the first grade, but you'll be surprised how many people on the internet really get mad about opinions and stuff like that. So, personally, I'm gonna give you guys my take on what I think Halo should be, and bring up some counter arguments that people brought to me, and I've been talking with people over the past few months, just kind of picking people's brains on what they want Halo to be, and kind of the direction I really want to see Halo move towards, personally. So, starting off with my personal opinions on what Halo should be. Halo's in a unique situation where it's not really like Call of Duty. Like, the gameplay for Call of Duty is the same for really so many years. Like Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, where all those games are so similar to each other, just gameplay wise. And then they added the jetpacks to kind of mix it up, to not make the game stale. You know what I mean? Because they're already getting complaints of Call of Duty stale, blah blah blah. It's kind of getting repetitive. So they tried doing something else. People hated that, and then they went back to the boots on the ground situation, and then it's like people were like, oh, this is stale, it's not really cool. And I think kind of when you get to that point, I think it's just time for a franchise to end, to be honest. I mean, Call of Duty is obviously still crazy popular, and they'll be kind of stupid to do that, but it's just you can kind of tell it's like getting really stale, just whatever they do. So I don't know, I feel like when a franchise gets to that point, they should you could just milk it for money until like no one buys it anymore, or just end the franchise there, which a lot of game developers don't really do. But personally with Halo, like, there's only been really 2 Halo games with this quote-unquote classic mechanics. Halo 1 is, in my opinion, very different, or Halo CE, whatever you want to call it. I know some people get mad if you call it Halo 1, but like, the mechanics of that game, in my opinion, are so different from Halo 2 and 3, or just the game feels slightly different. Like, you can't jump as high, obviously. It feels a lot more floaty. But I feel like Halo 2 and 3, when people refer to classic Halo, they kind of refer to that. Obviously, Halo 1 has the classic elements to it, or OG, but the jumping is kind of floating. I would agree that if someone told me, like, oh, they refined the controls in Halo 2, I would agree with that 100%. I feel like Halo 2 is a lot more smooth and fluid, obviously. But Halo 1 was made in an era where that game was revolutionary for its time. But regardless, so we only really have 2 games in the main classic Halo franchise, so that's why I feel like people really want more of it, and they could probably make 2 more games, or they could have made like 2 more games of classic Halo, in my opinion, or a game more. And then I feel like people would probably start getting tired of it, or would want something different. Like, let's just say, for example, like Halo 4 was like an OG Halo 3 classic, and then Halo 5 was an OG Halo classic. I feel like people, especially getting to the end, would get kind of sick of playing the same kind of gameplay loop over and over. That's just my opinion. I don't know if that's a fact or not. And I feel like game developers are looking at, like, you know, we don't want to make the same exact thing, you know, Bungie did. So they try to innovating Halo 4, especially just with, you know, the Call of Duty-esque mechanics, which I don't really agree with personally. I think it was kind of dumb. You know, people play Halo obviously to play Halo. People don't really play it to play Call of Duty. But I just feel like at a certain point that you have to try innovating, or you have to try doing something different with your game, or else people are going to be like, okay, this is kind of repetitive. That's just my thought on that. And then people may not agree with me. But personally, I think for the last Halo game in the main trilogy, which I think Halo 6 honestly should be the last Halo FPS, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of time for Halo to move on, or Halo to end. I mean, I feel like people just want a franchise to last a really long time and just last forever, but I mean, it has to end at a point. Like, I don't want to be playing Halo for like 30, 40 years. I think it's kind of the time for this franchise to kind of close, and maybe for people 343 to move on to something else. But I love Halo, obviously. It's my favorite franchise of gaming, but it's kind of tough for me to say that, but I think it is a good time to end the franchise. You have to end it at a certain point, and I think just ending it with one more great classic Halo game is the way to do it, in my opinion. In a perfect world, I want a classic Halo game for the final time. I could remember those Halo 3, Halo 2 memories, all that stuff, and just close out the franchise on that note, on what made the franchise big to begin with. And you know, in a perfect world, I would hope that would be the case, but realistically, I want to see Halo 3's mechanics with like a thruster as like a power up, or you could like a power up on the map. Like someone could fight for thrust control or whatever. Like it's a thruster pack on the map. Once someone has that, they have a huge advantage in gunfights. It's like a power up kind of power weapon. I think that'd be really interesting to see. I know Halo Online had something where it's like if you punch into the ground, it was like a big, it's kind of like a sparring charge, but you like punch into the ground, and it's like anyone in your immediate area dies, I assume, or just makes them one shot. I think that stuff like that would be cool as a pickup, but not an armor ability. I don't want to see any armor abilities, and if they have any, I hope it's just thrust. I don't really want to see sprint anymore in Halo. I mean, they tried it for a few games. Even in Halo 5, there's certain moments where people get away with sprint, like where they normally wouldn't have. Even with thruster, people get away with thruster on a corner that they would have probably died in another Halo game. And it kind of leads into my discussion of, people have this debate of which Halo game takes more skill, like Halo 3, the classic Halos, like Halo 5 and stuff like that. Personally, I think it's different aspects of the game that take different amounts of skill and stuff like that, but like in my opinion, it's overall, like, it's such a hard call to make, and it's such a hard thing to say. Like, oh, Halo 5 takes less skill, like Halo 5 is easier or whatever. And I had a conversation about this with my friend. I have a lot of people who, people say Halo 5 is easier, and then they'll go from like Halo 3 to Halo 5, and then they just struggle with it. I think the reason why I see that too is because like Halo 3 and Halo 5, they're such different games, and like Halo 3 is so much about like your positioning on the map, like you want to hold this area. You have to have good positioning in order to be a good player in Halo 3, but at Halo 5 it's not really about positioning anymore. I mean, if you guys look at like Splice play, especially, they just soar across the map and just run around. Like there's no setup really, there's nothing really that's going on in terms of setup really. I mean, there's obviously some setup in Halo 5, but overall it's a movement based game. And people try playing Halo 5, I feel like sometimes like Halo 3, and it just doesn't really work out as much. Obviously you want to have good positioning, but like movement is such a huge thing in Halo 5, and if you don't have that, or if you're not using it to its fullest advantage, you're not really, I'm not saying you're not playing the game right, but you're not going to find as much success as someone using movement to their advantage, thrusting at the right times, moving around the map at the right time, and learning these little jumps like spring jumps and just trick jumps in general. Like that helps so much in Halo 5, and that's kind of been the meta of Halo 5, just movement instead of positioning. So I feel like people definitely play Halo 5 a lot like Halo 3, and I think that is the reason why Halo 5 has obviously Halo 5 is not perfect, but I feel like people really give Halo 5 a bad rep because of maybe they're so used to a different style of Halo than the one they provide. And I feel like it's a hard adjustment to make. When I played Halo 5, when I first started playing, it was a pretty big learning curve, like trying to get into it, because I couldn't really play this like every other Halo I've played before. I kind of had to do different things than I normally would. And obviously, like, I feel like your skill like transfers over. Like if you're good at previous Halo games, you can be good at Halo 5. It's just you have to learn some of the small like nuances and stuff in gameplay. But that's kind of like a big argument I hear with Halo in general. Like Halo 5 is not taking much skill, but in my opinion, one-on-ones especially take a lot more skill in Halo 5. In my opinion, like I don't care what anybody says. Like one-on-ones and the strafing and the crouching and all the things people could do to throw you off in a 1v1 in Halo 5 is immense. Like there's so many things people could do to throw you off, but I feel like in Halo 3 it's kind of like a generic, like, I mean, you could strafe in Halo 3 obviously and throw off people, but like it's not as much as Halo 5 in my opinion. That's one thing I will give Halo 5 over Halo 3. The gunfights in Halo 5 take a lot of skill, and in my opinion it's harder to aim in Halo 5 too, so that's one thing I will give Halo 5, at least with the pistol. But pretty much for like every other weapon, my friend brought this up too, like it's easy to sniper. It's easy to use a sniper in Halo 5. It's like the AR to automatics were just crazy when they out of the box. At least the automatics are way too strong. Even now they're kind of annoying still. Every other gun was so easy to use. The splash damage of the rocket is so much more, it feels like, in Halo 5. I mean, there's so many weapons that are just easy to use outside of that. But I'm not really gonna sit here and answer in the video like which Halo game takes more skill, which Halo game's harder, because that's all people's opinions and stuff like that. But that's why I feel like Halo 5 really gets a bad rep in terms of like the mechanics and stuff like that. And also, in my opinion, if Halo 5 was like the first Halo game to come out in the franchise, or if Halo 5 didn't have the name Halo on it, I feel like people would like it a lot more. I feel like definitely because the name Halo is attached to it. People expect that positioning based gameplay instead of this thruster kind of like faster paced type of game. And I don't know if that's like a fair assumption to make, but like I don't know, I really feel that way. I feel like Halo 5 is a solid game. Like the gameplay mechanics are fairly good. Obviously I don't like Spartan Charge, I don't like ground pound personally, but like thrusting and sprint and stuff, it feels good to play Halo 5, and it works in my opinion for the maps that it's on. You know, obviously personally I would prefer just none of this. In my opinion, Halo 5's time has passed. It's over. I mean, you're not really gonna do no sprint really on the maps in Halo 5. They're not built for no sprint. They're built for sprint. So all we can really do is focus on, all we can do is focus on the next Halo game. And I hope that they took the community feedback into account and really just make it more simplistic, classic style Halo, and just go back to its roots. I mean, that's such a big thing, and I feel like with Halo Online especially, people really wanted to see that classic gameplay back, or it just shows how much people really want to play that old school Halo again. I've seen comments on videos like wow, they took off sprint or whatever, and it's like, no, you could disable it, and people are like just so hyped to play like they want the old classic Halo back. And I really believe my Twitter poll shows that. I tried getting into as many people as I can, just different people, like competitive, casual, whatever, my friends, and it's everybody. And I mean, it's an overwhelming amount of people who really just want the old classic Halo back, and I feel like for the last entry in the franchise, that would be perfect. And I mean, I'm all down for it. I don't think Halo is that classic style of gameplay is like worn out yet, or people are tired of it. People extremely want it, and people really want it back, because we haven't had a game since 2007 to have that gameplay. Or I guess if you want to count Halo 2 Anniversary. But the thing is with Halo 2 Anniversary, I also feel like too, and people probably use this as an argument saying, oh yeah, classic style in Halo 2 Anniversary, but it's like Halo 2 Anniversary wasn't even really like a full game, to be honest. And on top of that, MCC was broken. If that game worked out of the box, in my opinion, Halo would honestly be a lot more popular than it is right now. I feel like so many people were quitting Call of Duty, or so many people were leaving Call of Duty just to go to Halo. People like who played it in the past are coming back to play MCC, and then when people realize how broken it was and how much of a shell of a game it was like, people just moved on to the next game. They're just like, okay, this is trash, we're gonna go back to playing COD. Like, so many people wanted to play Halo 2 again, so many people wanted to play Halo 3 again, play it like they did back in the day. And because that game messed up and it just ruined Halo's reputation, people didn't take Halo as seriously anymore. And I definitely feel like if that game succeeded, you would see Halo a lot more popular than it is now. I don't know if Halo 5 would be as popular, but I definitely feel like people would be streaming MCC, people would be playing Halo 3. The community would be a lot more vibrant. I feel like it would attract some of those people into the Halo community, like who left from COD, and they'd probably just play Halo 3 like they did back in the day. And that's just my opinion on that. I know a lot of people probably say, oh, MCC didn't mean anything, but in my opinion, it meant everything for Halo. It was such a huge turning point in terms of like how you could see how good classic Halo really was and how much it held up after all these years, and people still enjoyed it. So I don't know, I feel like classic Halo is a thing a lot of people resonate with, especially a lot of old gamers. People say it's not gonna work in the modern day setting. I mean, you never know. I mean, it could just flop or whatever, you never know. But I feel like people genuinely miss, the gaming community as a whole genuinely miss old Halo again. They missed that old style of Halo, and it was a game like no other game. Like, people played Halo for that slow, like, positioning based game, and we don't really have a game like that, in my opinion, out right now that I could think about off the top of my head. Like, this positioning based, like, slower pace type of game, and just FPS at least. I don't see that really, and it was so unique for its time. And I feel like people don't want to play like another Call of Duty clone. People don't want to play Halo again. And I feel like if one classic Halo came out, the word would spread, like people would say like, classic Halo's back, classic Halo's back. And I feel like everyone in the gaming community will hop back on it. And as long as the game is good in other aspects, like campaign and the Forge is great, and we have a lot of options, the customization is great, I feel like the Halo 6 will succeed, or the next Halo, whatever you're gonna call it. Personally, the Halo 5, there's so much more they could have done with the DLC and this campaign and everything as a whole, but I don't think it was a complete failure. I don't think Halo 5 is just trash. I love Halo 5. I like Halo 5 more than Halo 4 in my opinion. I like Halo 5 more than, at least from a multiplayer standpoint, I like Halo 5 more than Reach with Bloom. People really forget how good Reach is with Zero Bloom No Sprint too. Like, I remember for years the competitive community was asking me for like change the settings, whatever, and then they added Zero Bloom No Sprint, and the game was literally, it's so good. I love Halo Reach Zero Bloom No Sprint. I remember at a point I was really into like Halo Reach competitive, or yeah, just like doing like custom games as 4v4s, MLG on Pit or whatever, and I remember at a point I loved Reach so much. I'm like, this game is better than Halo 2. I said something like crazy like that, and in my opinion the game was so good with Zero Bloom No Sprint. I'm not gonna say it's better than Halo 2, but it was very good. It reminded me of like, and the game was harder to aim in too, and the strafing in that game was amazing. I don't know, I just feel like they have to try at least one more time, I feel like, with the classic formula. If they can't go 100% classic, I would just go with like a thruster only. And if they don't want to do that, just go with like thruster and sprint and just tune Halo 5's mechanics. But from my Twitter poll, I mean, it's an overwhelmingly big support. It's just crazy support for like classic Halo. Like, that's what everyone wants to see, I feel like. And if it's the last Halo FPS game, you might as well do it, in my opinion. I mean, you have nothing to lose at this point. But I don't know if they said they're gonna make it like a saga, but I don't know, man. Like, going off on a side rant, I'm just kind of tired of like game franchises just getting milked. I mean, obviously if it's a popular franchise, why end it there or whatever, but like there's a point, man. You just have to move on. Like, if you're such a good studio or whatever, you have that much confidence in your studio, like you can make another great game. Like, I feel like Uncharted did it well too. Like, they ended it at a point. Uncharted 4, like that was the end. We're not gonna sit here and make Uncharted 8, Uncharted 10, Uncharted 11. I mean, obviously some games to get away with that, like Mario and stuff, they can make a bunch of games, but like story-driven games, I feel like, I don't know. Personally, it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like it works that much. That's just my opinion on that. Like, Gears of War, I feel like it had a good ending at 3. It's like, good ending. Gameplay was relatively similar throughout all the games, but it's like, come on, let's just end the franchise, because now we're gonna pretty much have another trilogy, and it's gonna go to Gears 6, and it's like, I don't want to play really 3 more games with the same Gears. Like, I played Gears 4 and the mechanics are great. Like, they refined it. They made it a lot smoother, like from game to game. Like, Gears 1 was a little bit clunky, then Gears 2 was less clunky, or Gears 3 is like pretty smooth, and Gears 4 is smoother, and it's like they have the same core gameplay now, and I'm just kind of getting, like, I've played Gears before, I've played it over and over and over and over again, so I just feel like it gets tired. Like, just move on to the next game, just do something else. And I feel like for Halo, I mean, dude, I don't want to really play, like, I mean, if they just make the rest of the Halo games classic and they make like 3 more of them, it's like, it's just gonna get kind of redundant to me. Like, not saying I love it, but it's just kind of like we've played it for years and years and years, and it's just gonna get just kind of boring in my opinion. But not boring, but just like, I'm not really gonna expect as much from the next Halo game. Like, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion on it. Maybe I'm just going on a tangent. This video is not really like organized. I'm just sitting here talking in my opinion on what I think the next Halo should be, and I don't really have a script ever. So if I did like thinking, like I'm thinking while I'm talking or whatever, I'm definitely tired too, because I have to study for this test. Been busy, so I really haven't had time to make as many videos as I wanted to. But it's just me kind of rambling. So leave comments down below, guys, like what you think Halo should be. Don't attack each other in the comments. Keep it civil. Like, be respectful towards each other, and just constructively criticize what you don't like about Halo and what they can do to improve on it, because criticism is kind of pointless without a solution. So if you have any solutions of what you think Halo could do better in the future, just leave it down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later. I'm out. Peace.